all your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the We Book It podcast. This is your Tuesday night Who's Next with NXT, brought to you by the We Book It podcast, powered by each and every last one of you that tune in to these episodes to get your updates on what's going on around WWE, NXT, and AEW, as well as be on the lookout, guys. We are about to preview and bring back a TNA show. That's right. TNA is booming. So you want to be on the lookout for that also, so that you don't miss anything that's going on in wrestling each week to week. I need you to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I want to make sure that you guys look at everything. Follow us on Twitch, as well as on Facebook, as well as on Instagram, as well as on right here on YouTube. All you got to do is go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us. We are the We Book It podcast, wherever podcasts are and all over social media. With that being said, y'all, listen, NXT is back on the road. That's right, Daddy. NXT was on the road tonight, featured from Houston, Texas. It looked like a ballroom that they were out of on the CW, and you had a jam-packed show. Not only did you have the first show for Blake Monroe, which is going to have her debut match on NXT, but you also had the return of the dead man, the Undertaker. Let's get right into the action, y'all. So right here, we will start off the show with Booker T getting a special entrance and introduction as he hypes up the show for tonight. The most hilarious part out of all of this was when Booker T talked about the glamour girl Monica Monroe at one point. You could tell he was hyped up. He was so hyped up because he messed up Blake's name, and she is pretty much the hottest the hottest NXT superstar they have right now. So right out the jump, we have Hank and Tank versus Hank and Tank and Sol Ruka versus the Culling, Izzy Dame, Nico Vance, and Sean Spears and Tatum Paxton in a mixed tag match. This immediately starts out straight up in a brawl out the gates. The bell rings, and it's Walker and Vance are the legal two, and they are beating the holy hell out of each other. These guys got something to prove, and they wanted to make sure that they proved it during this bout. And this match literally was going ham from the start. I think that it was really cool to watch and see what they were doing during this match. And again, it was a very hard hitting match between these guys. We had one point where Walker and Vance are the legal ones that beating the holy hell out of each other in the corner. An alarm clock headbutt from Nico, a quick tag working Hank over. Ledger gets the tag, then a near fall on Spears. Off the top rope, Sean cuts him off with a quick kick, and then he tags into Paxley, and Zaria comes in, and they go back and forth for a while. The match highlight ends with Paxley rolling her up with the schoolboy, only for a near fall. Then the lights go dark, and Dark State is here. The lights come back up, and Tatum has Zaria in a side press. And from that, the Culling wins by pinfall with the side press from Tatum Paxley to Zaria. Fatal Influence is shown walking backstage to send us to break. So, yeah, man, like I said, as a first kickoff match, you know that Houston crowd was hype. Booker T's in his hometown. I believe the Undertaker lives in Houston as well, or at least right outside of it, probably somewhere. And you understand that H-Town was on fire for wrestling tonight. And for what it's worth, that first match delivered. It was a good match, and it further along some storylines. Back from commercial break, we get the earlier today footage of Ava Raine banning Jordynne Grace from the arena tonight, saying that Jordynne Grace is not in control of her emotions and she will try. She doesn't want anything to happen with Blake Monroe's debut match on NXT. So next up, we have Fatal Influence making their way to the ring. JC Jane gets on the mic, which, oh, by the way, JC Jane is now a double champion. She is not only your TNA Knockouts champion, she is the NXT Women's Champion at the same time. She asks if this picture isn't worth $1 million, and like it or hate it, JC runs women's wrestling, because not only is she your NXT Women's Champion, she is now your TNA Knockouts champion. She talks about being a history maker and a moment maker. Next thing you know, Lash Legend enters into the story, and she's wearing a crop top with a picture of a horse on it for some delightful ass reason. Don't really know why. But she says JC might be at the top, but she's gonna downward spiral real fast because it's time for her to lash out. Everybody was talking about the woman at Evolution, and it wasn't JC. It was the bougie bully. She proved that she's the most dominant force in NXT, and she's gonna get one of those titles. Then next thing you know, enter in Miss Parker. Miss Parker, that's right. Big Daddy C's biggest crush, Jada Parker, enters into the NXT Dome from there, and she doesn't want to take Legends flowers from her, but she needs to do herself a favor and look around. Because this is NXT, and Jada Parker has a direct line to that title. She says she's a walking reality and the face and the future of the women's division. JC says she's glad they think this highly of themselves, and she's going to let them discuss this amongst themselves. She immediately tells her girls to get them, but Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley refuse to move a muscle. So Jane waits a beat and attacks them herself, and Nix and Henley reluctantly throw themselves into the fray, and the baby faces end up standing tall. Two new contenders. Could we see something like what the WWE did with Seth Rollins few years back when he had to face Sting and John Cena in the same night? John Cena for the United States Championship, Sting for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the same night. I think that would be a really, really cool idea to do with JC Jane. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Next up, Ricky Saints rolls up to chat with Javon Evans while Evans takes some notes. They trade advice, and Javon gives him a pep talk for tonight to send us to break. Back from commercial break, the No Quarter Catch crew are trying to get Ren Sinclair a pep talk when Miles Bourne rolls up. He's not in QCC anymore, but he's still here to support Ren. Lexus King does something noisy in the background, and they resume their pep talk and head off. Next up, we got Jasper Troy versus none other than Ricky Saints. Saints keeping his distance at first. He sees an opportunity. He begins to mount punches in the corner. Then Troy shrugs him off. This is your big guy versus little guy match for certain, down to a T. Ricky Saints basically trying to prove that he can hang even with the big guys. Jasper Troy, I have been nothing short of impressed with what he has been able to do since he has been called up to the NXT roster from LFG. I believe this man has done amazing work, and I'm very, very happy with his matches so far. And again, this is another good one with Ricky Saints. For somebody that is a rookie, he is consistently in and week out having great matches. He will not be in NXT long, guys. He will be called up to the main roster because he's just doing such a great job. Now, with that being said, we get back to the match. This match ends with a cactus clothesline, and then both men are down and out on the floor, back on their feet, fighting up the ramp to the stage, where Troy throws Ricky into the LED screen. Saints collapses through a broken chunk of stage, and Troy lands a senton on top of him. The referee counting. Jasper back on his feet and trying to get back to the ring. He beats the count. Jasper Troy wins by countout. Ouch. I truly see these two going back and forth and having a more longer series of matches. You can easily tell this is going to end up to a last man standing match between these two, which I think they're going to put on the show. With that, you can obviously see that during a pay-per-view happening for them too. Next up, we have Trick Williams backstage with the High Rise chatting about taking care of business. Next thing you know, Javon Evans chimes in from the road case. just off camera, and Trick tells him to mind his own business and he'll see the high rise after the show. Then next thing you know, the commentary team gives a eulogy real quick for Ozzy Osbourne, who just passed away today. And then we go to commercial break. We get back from commercial break, and it's Trick Williams making his entrance, and he gets on the mic. He says he's the main event of TNA and the biggest show at Slammiversary, and he faced two of the best TNA had to offer and beat them both. And that makes him the unequivocally the greatest TNA World Heavyweight Champion of all time. He knows they don't like him over there in TNA. He's dropping records, diss tracks, and anybody that gets in his way. He turns his attention to the LFG kids and says they snitched out and called their coach, The Undertaker. He's here to spit facts, and it is a fact that The Undertaker is one of the greatest of all time, and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But it is a fact that he's never held down two brands at the same time. And truer words have never been said. LFG got The Undertaker disrespected and tweeting, and he thinks they got him soft too. He's got no problems being the man to call out The Undertaker because he's Trick Williams and he's Trickin' A, and the dead man, bring your ass out here. Doom, out comes the gong, and then the American Badass music plays. You do not get the old school Undertaker music. You got the American Badass music come out. And then Undertaker comes out to the stage with no hat, no coat, ready to give Trick a piece of his mind. He comes out biker style. I think that's the version of Undertaker we're going to see primarily for the most of the rest of his days. I think I like the only time you may get the other Undertaker is if he comes out to fight. But like I said, the Trick Williams had the great one-liner in here about the Undertaker's knees. And that moment got a real big reception from the crowd. But the Undertaker came out and he was ready to eat their Trick Williams too. He gets on the mic and he says Williams is a dead man walking. He's got that nice little title and the bling and his jacket, genuine cowhide. He's got it all except for one thing: respect. He's got it all. And as long as he has this attitude, losing the title ain't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That attitude will be his downfall, and the walls are going to start crumbling down. He's seen it a million times. His attitude is rotten, and it's exactly what he tries to teach his LFG not to do. Trick Williams interrupts and says he don't give a damn about the LFG team. Nobody on LFG is a superstar like Trick Williams. Nobody in NXT is a superstar like Trick Williams. Nobody in WWE is a superstar like Trick Williams. Taker asks if that is right, and offers one more piece of advice. You're a little too light in the ass to step to an OG. You want to dance with the devil? He can flip that switch right quick and he'll make you famous. Undertaker then choke slams Trick Williams. Have not heard the Undertaker bring out the make you famous since probably like 2004. I love it, love it, love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, man, a great moment right there. A cool moment for Trick Williams going into the ring with the Undertaker. It just lets you know how highly WWE and especially Shawn Michaels and NXT think of Trick Williams to get him in the ring on the mic, sparring with the Undertaker. And he held his own. Like I said, the Undertaker obviously was going to get the last word. He's the legend, and he's trying to give Trick Williams some advice. But at the same time, Trick Williams held his own, called out the Undertaker. And like I said, I foresee him potentially maybe going up against one of the LFG students in a match just to embarrass him, almost kind of like the Kurt Angle Invitational type deal that he used to do. Something like that will probably end up happening where Trick Williams can embarrass one of those LFG rookies during an NXT bout. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. But we go to commercial break with Blake Monroe walking backstage, and then back from break and Fatal Influence are chatting backstage when Michelle McCool rolls up to offer advice on which member should get which match via vice versa. Lash Legend and Jada Parker, which interesting how they are inserting Shawn Michaels is inserting the LFG coaches into the NXT show. Obviously, you saw Undertaker tonight. Booker T's there every night. He's on commentary. You see Michelle McCool tonight. Really, really interested to see if we're going to see Bubba Ray also. But next up, we have Blake Monroe versus Ren Sinclair. Awesome entrance by Blake Monroe. I loved how her entrance started with her looking in the mirror or whatnot and fixing her makeup and things like that. And then she begins to head to the ring from there. They really are kicking into high gear with this glamour model type of persona that they are portraying Blake Monroe to be. We start the match with a collar and elbow tie. Monroe takes Sinclair into the corner and puts boots to her, pressing the attack out of the corner, kneeling chicken wing chin lock. Ring gets out of it. Then off the ropes, a running one-hand bulldog for a near fall, underhooks her. Then Blake slings her into the ropes and clocks her with a headbutt. Like I said, she begins drawing her up, underhooks her. Then Blake Monroe wins by pinfall with a butterfly DDT. Post-match, Blake goes to cut a promo, but Jordynne Grace is fighting through the crowd and a pile of security to beat up Monroe. Fending off security by the fistful, Blake goes out after her and headbutts her. Then she hits another butterfly DDT into the steel chair, and Jordynne is out cold. After that, like I said, so Blake Monroe, like I said, just getting started in NXT. You guys understand that championship gold is in her future. It's inevitable for this woman, and she is going to be a huge major star in NXT, probably even bigger star in WWE. She is building those blocks up and getting rid of some of those bad habits that she got in AEW, and she is going to be a polished WWE superstar by the time she is ready to go to the main roster. Now, with that being said, we come back from commercial break. All Ego Ethan Page is holding a summit for the NXT North American Championship in the ring. He says he's the greatest NXT North American champion ever, and 17 Americans held it before him. And he intends to bring more pride, more dignity, and class to the title than all of them combined. He plans to do this with his heritage. His folks migrated from Yugoslavia, and his crisscrossing the country to wrestle in bingo halls. If his parents had made different decisions, he might have ended up like all of the crowd, but he didn't because he was born in Canada. Going forward, the title will no longer represent the continent of North America because what the title represents is an absolute lie. He was born in Canada, but made in America, and that makes him the greatest North American champion alive and affords him the privilege of doing this. He then took off the NXT North American Championship, throws it out into the crowd, and then unveils the new North American Championship of the same basic design, but the leather is painted like the Canadian flag. I love custom championship belts. I love when they look nice and they make sense. Right? These days, everybody gets some type of custom belt or some type of commemorative title. But I love the idea of painting that leather and giving it a new look for him, because quite honestly, the burgundy leather that's been on the North American Championship, I think, has run its course. I think that design of the North American Championship has run its course. I would like to see them go with a slicker design of that belt, but yeah, so we go on from there. And then out comes Santino Marella while he's putting down Mexico and putting down the USA and talking about how great Canada is. And then entering no Santino. And out comes Santino Marella. He says, Eden Pagey has a big mouth, and everyone knows he's from Italy and tries to follow in the footsteps like of Bruno Sammartino and Rocky Balboa. But what people might not know is he lives in Canada, and he knows the people of Canada don't agree with what Ethan is saying. The people here are good, hard-working people, but he can't relate to that because he's a bumhole boy. Wow, he called that man a bumhole boy. Anyway, he challenges All Ego and says he'll see him next week. Page says he wants to go tonight, but Santino, he turns his back and he's taking off the belt, he's taking off his jacket and getting ready. And as he turns around, here's and the Cobra is there and ready for him. He rolls out the ring and runs away. Next up, we see Trick Williams stumbling backstage, trying to find some weights for his ass, probably when he runs then into Oba Femi. And Oba Femi is looking at that TNA World Championship. JC Jane pushes her way through them and gives Oba and Trick a look before walking off, sending us to break. My God, TNA needs to get a hold of their belts because right now NXT is looking to conquer everything TNA. I think this is potentially setting up for an invasion angle, but we'll just have to see what happens with that. We get back from commercial break, and Yoshiki Inamura rolls up on Javon Evans to give him some advice. Evans says he's not even 21, and Inamura walks away, but Javon calls him back and says he'll talk it out. Yoshiki is worried he's a bad friend to Josh Briggs, and Evans says they're walking different paths, and that's cool. And Inamura says sometimes he doesn't like what Briggs does, and Javon says sometimes you can love somebody and not like them. You feel me? Yoshiki literally grabs him by the shoulders and says he feels him. Then we have the No Quarter Catch crew chatting it up backstage when Bubba Ray Dudley, boom, walks up and tells Charlie Dempsey to tell him to walk away. When he doesn't, Bubba walks over to Ren and says he's proud of her and then sets up another Tavion Heights versus Charlie Dempsey match where if Tavion wins, he's out of NQCC. But if Charlie wins, Heights stays in NQCC with a smile on his face. They shake on it. Then the next thing you know, Alexis King rolls up and says he knows Miles Bourne isn't deaf because he's been wearing noise-canceling headphones and he can hear him just fine. Bourne tells him everybody wishes King was mute and then walks off. We get a Twitter promo from Roman Reigns where he sets up the tag team match player with him and Jey Uso against Braun and Braun Connection for SummerSlam player. And then Josh Briggs makes his entrance to send us to break. Next up, we have the NXT Championship match. That's right, Josh Briggs versus Oba Femi versus Yoshiki Inamura for the NXT Championship. Again, another hard-hitting fight. So Femi clotheslines Briggs to the floor. He fends off elbows from Inamura, but Yoshiki gets him into the corner with a big chop, a whip reversed, a huge belly-to-belly suplex. Then he connects. Josh back inside, huge side slam on the champ, big splash, a cover for the 1, 2, then a kick out. Briggs and Inamura working together with shoulder blocks, but Oba drops them lariats. So Yoshiki gets a cover, but Josh pulls through referee Daryl Sharma back, and then a double choke slam from the ruler, and we go to break. After we come back from commercial break, they're going back and forth, and then the big highlight of the match comes when Josh and Yoshiki trade punches in the middle of the ring, and Amora hammering him with chops, and then Briggs kicks at his foot for elbow, blocks a rolling elbow with a jab to the neck off the ropes, and then a big lariat turns Inamura inside out, and then Oba back in, a shoulder block, a power bomb, and then the 1, 2, 3. Oba Femi wins by pinfall with a power bomb on Josh Briggs, retaining his NXT Championship. And we have to ask the question once again: just who, folks, can take on the ruler and actually beat him? Because as of right now, I don't know anybody that can. But then we cut back to the back. And we see Javon Evans and his notebook. And none other than the Undertaker rolls up on him and offers this advice. He says you have to keep going after the biggest dog in the yard. You know what I'm saying? Shakes his head yes. They both look back at the screen. And that ends NXT for this week. And boy, let me tell you, that will give this show definitely A minus. Like I said, I think having the LFG guys might have given them might have given them a little bit of bigger boost in the ratings. You had Bubba Ray there, you had Undertaker there, you had Booker T there. Obviously, you're in H Town. I think, like I said, that it was just a great night all the way around for NXT. And stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be taking a little break from Who's Next at NXT, but the homie, my little bro Claude has you. Big Daddy C is going to be taking over Who's Next with NXT starting next week for us. And man, are we going to be excited about that. So please stay tuned. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.